Tonight on NewsVision, we will tell you why people in South Florida have joined national protests in front of Tesla dealerships.
We want unelected oligarchic billionaires out of our government.
Plus, it's Miami Music Week. We'll take you live to the site of the biggest event, Ultra, to see how South Florida is getting ready for the festivities.
It's really not that hard to just get your trash and throw it in a trash can.
And later on, one soccer league is kicking off its premier season here in South Florida. We will introduce you to one of the teams. All this and more on tonight's show, and it starts right now. Good evening and welcome to NewsVision. I'm Christopher Perez.
And I'm Lauren Harrington. Thank you for joining us.
Since becoming the head of Doge in January, President Trump's senior advisor Elon Musk has angered tens of millions of people with his controversial decisions.
Now, many people are organizing protests across the country against Musk's policies. Max Keller attended one such protest in Fort Lauderdale.
That's the sound of united chants from protesters ringing out on the sidewalks just outside of one of Tesla's showrooms in Fort Lauderdale. Their concern is not with the cars, but instead the man who makes them.
We want unelected oligarchic billionaires out of our government.
Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and owner of X, now serves as a senior advisor to the President of the United States. Since Trump gave him that role, Musk has been consistently in the spotlight, and many are questioning his power.
Elon Musk has been dismantling a lot of federal programs, which is really unconstitutional and, as far as I'm concerned, is illegal acts.
Over the past month, protests just like this one have been popping up across the United States. Now, the impact of these protests is clear, with them lasting hours. People have coordinated chants, all sorts of signs, and they're right outside the Tesla showroom here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They have been using their signs, holding them up, and receiving several honks from people as they drive by. But not all forms of Tesla protesting have been peaceful. Multiple vandalism incidents to Tesla cars, superchargers, and property have been reported. In response to the backlash, President Trump has threatened more severe penalties for vandals of Tesla property. Musk has also thanked his fans on social media for their support. The organizers of the Fort Lauderdale protests are placing emphasis on setting a good example.
We're not breaking things, we're not harming anybody. We're here protesting with our words, our messages.
And that message seems to be reaching a larger audience, leading to growing crowds at the weekly protests.
There's a lot of people that feel the same way, that don't necessarily feel safe coming out and protesting. When they see that when we come out here and it's peaceful and we're just trying to get the word out, I think they feel more comfortable to come join us. And the bigger we can get it, the faster we can get them out of there.
However, the protesters in Fort Lauderdale are mostly older adults. Vince says he would like to see a passing of the baton.
Yes, I think it's very important for the youngins to rise up too at this junction, because it's really your world that's coming up, and you have to see how you want to represent it.
For UMTV, I'm Max Keller.
And while the protests Max went to in Fort Lauderdale were peaceful, a protest a little north of there near a West Palm Beach Tesla dealership almost ended in disaster after one man drove his car into the crowd. Police say Andrew Doodle drove his SUV straight into a protest on Saturday. He then stepped out of the car and screamed at the crowd. The ordeal was caught on camera, but the protesters were able to jump out of the way and nobody was hurt.
Had he had the intent to
really
injure somebody, had he had the intent to really injure somebody, he could have easily done that. And I think that it was pretty much a stunt.
Doodle drove away from the scene, but police pulled him over and arrested him later. He is facing one charge of aggravated assault.
This is Coast to Coast, bringing you news from across the United States. I'm Andres Jaime Mendez.
And I'm Emma Balleste. A recent security breach has raised bipartisan concerns about top U.S. officials sharing classified attack plans over a commercial messaging app.
The breach involves some of President Trump's top officials revealing specific attack plans on Houthis in Yemen through a group chat on the app called Signal.
The only reason we know about this is because a journalist from The Atlantic was accidentally added into the chat.
He has now released more messages from the thread that reveal what specific sensitive information was shared. Shortly after, the Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg's article revealed that he was inadvertently added to a group chat where top officials were discussing national security information, the Trump administration looked to minimize the story.
Nobody was texting war plans.
Even the president himself claiming no classified information was shared.
There was no classified information, there was no problem, and the attack was a tremendous success.
While Goldberg kept attack plan details out of the original article, saying it felt, quote, too confidential, he said those comments presented a dilemma.
At a certain point, I just felt, you know, let our readers decide for themselves. Read these texts that I got sitting in my car on my phone in a Safeway parking lot 2 hours before the attack launched, and you tell me if this seems like good operational security.
The messages revealed Wednesday show that top officials were sharing timing and targets of specific strikes in Yemen. At one point, Hegseth wrote, quote, "This is when the first bombs will definitely drop." While White House officials insist that no sensitive information was leaked, the National Security Council has confirmed the authenticity of the messages.
And concerns about national security continue to rise. On Tuesday, President Trump signs an executive order proposing extreme changes to the U.S. election system.
His new measures will require voters to show proof of citizenship in order to register to vote, and strict deadlines for mail-in ballots.
We should go to voter ID and just one other thing, proof of a thing called citizenship in the United States. Wouldn't that be nice?
While administration officials say they are aiming to secure elections with these new measures, many believe Trump is overstepping his presidential authority.
The Trump administration is expected to face many legal challenges, and the battle over these measures will most likely end up in court.
Yesterday, Trump announced that he will impose a 25% tariff on cars and car parts imported to the U.S.
He says this measure was created to revive American auto manufacturing, but about 60% of the car parts used in American manufacturing come from abroad.
And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at, and we go to 25%.
More than half of the cars sold in the U.S. are imported, and this initiative is expected to significantly raise auto car prices in the United States.
On Tuesday, international graduate student at Tufts University with a valid visa was detained by federal agents.
Turkish national Rumiza Öztürk is currently being held at an immigration facility in Louisiana.
One Department of Security official says she engaged in activities in support of Hamas after her name appeared in a student newspaper editorial supporting Palestinian people. Officials say Öztürk's visa has been terminated.
Because I think it's crazy to invite students into your country that are coming onto your campus and destabilizing it. We're just not going to have it. So we'll revoke your visa, and once your visa is revoked, you're illegally in the country and you have to leave.
The student's attorney says no charges have been filed.
Well, that is all the time we have for now on Coast to Coast. Back to the desk.
One Cuban-American journalist and filmmaker in Miami has released a book that he's been working on for decades, and I got the chance to talk to him about it. In the early 1990s, Cuba was deep in what's known as the Special Period, a severe economic crisis following the collapse of the Soviet Union. With shortages of food, fuel, and medicine, daily life was a struggle for most Cubans. And it wasn't just hardship. There was a rise in civil unrest and unprecedented protests. Enter Cuban-American journalism student Manuel Ruiz Barrera, who decided that was a perfect time to visit the birthplace of his ancestors.
I didn't go to just discover my roots. I went, in my mind, to document the final days through photography. My professors at FIU at the time, Florida International University, said, "You have something special, you should go back."
Ruiz eventually turned those photos into a book called Surreal Cuba, a project that deeply moved readers like Isabella Rodriguez.
And he went back every single time, which is, I feel like you need a lot of passion for that, and that inspires me a lot.
A story born in secrecy, once turned down by many, now shared with the world more than 30 years later through photographs that still demand to be seen. And Ruiz's message remains clear.
I've always been desperate for people to really understand fundamentally how a world that is totalitarian in its mentality and in its day-to-day function, works.
Manuel says he never expected his trips to Cuba to turn into a decades-long project. But as he looks back, he says he's glad he kept going and that people are finally listening.
And it's not just Manuel who is drawing attention to his homeland through his art in South Florida. Here is Andres Jaime Mendez with more.
Miami is no stranger to unconventional street art. So these transformed utility boxes on the corners of busy intersections in North Miami look like they fit right in. These pieces are the creation of Haitian artist Sophia Lacroix, who is on a mission to show the true beauty of her devastated home.
For me, I hide in my naive nostalgia and about the beautiful part of Haiti, and that's what I want people to see.
Sophia moved to Florida as a teenager and knew she had a talent for painting and wanted to bring people to her homeland through her art.
We may not be able to go vacation in Haiti, but for a moment when you're looking at one of my paintings, you'll be there mentally.
She continues to do oil paintings as well as watercolor paper and does portraits and market scenes that characterize who she is as an artist. Lacroix is also heavily involved with the Haitian community in South Florida. Her giant mural outside the Little Haiti Cultural Center in Miami has been here since 2005.
When I became the director here, her art was already installed here, and we wanted to do a show with her. We wanted to do presentations with her, and she always participated in any type of project we've ever had.
I'm an optimist. I'm a silver lining kind of girl. So when I wanted to paint, I wanted to show the beauty of Haiti.
Sophia Lacroix wants to let her perspective and a way to see the world be the leader in her art. For UMTV, I'm Andres Jaime Mendez.
Mexican actress Kate Del Castillo has won the first ever Calle Ocho Little Havana Award for her outstanding performances in TV series and films. That happened yesterday at the famous Tower Theater on Calle Ocho in Little Havana. The Miami community has grown to love Del Castillo through her starring role in the hit series called La Reina del Sur, which is inspired by the drug trade in Miami in the 1970s. She also received the key to the city of Miami from District 3 Commissioner Joe Carollo.
And I'm super honored for this keys to the city of Miami. Thank you so much to the commissioner who has been amazing, Joe Carollo y su mujer Marjorie. So thank you so much.
Del Castillo has been a role model for Latinos around the world for over 30 years since her debut as a child star in El Último Escape.
Students, faculty, and friends are gathering tonight for a memorial service honoring the life of University of Miami's professor Mark Fager. He passed away in December, leaving behind a legacy marked by his dedication to teaching and his commitment to social justice. Throughout his career, he taught us subjects including property law, antitrust law, house discrimination, and identity politics and law. Not only is he recognized for being a dedicated teacher, he also stands as a symbol of belonging and advocacy for the LGBTQ+ community after revealing his sexuality in the law school newspaper almost 40 years ago.
But I think that really Mark's legacy is about being inclusive and supportive of the wide range of human difference and helping to be sure that everybody belongs.
The UM School of Law is honoring Professor Fager's legacy by offering a scholarship in his name to law students embodying his mission.
It is Miami Music Week, and since many festival attendees call Miami home, Ultra Music Festival is making a commitment to keep the city clean. That and a lot more just ahead.
It's important to get a flu shot each and every year because flu viruses are constantly changing and immunity from the vaccine decreases over time. Flu vaccines are updated annually to work against that year's viruses. The best time to get your shot is in the fall, but getting it later can still help. Getting a flu shot lowers your risk of getting sick, and if you do happen to get flu, it's likely to be less severe.
The 25th Ultra Music Festival begins tomorrow and runs through Sunday, March 30th. featuring sets from some of the world's top EDM artists, including Steve Aoki, John Summit, and more. For more on the festival, we are joined now live by Amanda Mohammed, who is at Bayfront Park. Amanda, how are the preparations going?
Here at Bayfront Park, preparations for Ultra are in full swing, and I mean, you could just see it behind me. And as you guys said, Ultra is gearing up for a very big anniversary, which means this year's festival is going to be bigger and better than ever. And with general admission bands going for almost $400 each, Ultra officially sold out more than 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. That is absolutely insane. There are going to be several very well-known EDM artists that are going to be performing on the stage behind me, but Ultra's mission is about more than just showcasing these top artists. This week is also Miami's first ever Climate Week, which is going to be encouraging locals to practice sustainability with local community events. Many of the festival's attendees, which are better known as Ultranauts, call Miami home, and Ultra is making a commitment to protecting it. While Ultra Music Festival in Miami is celebrating its 25th anniversary, its Mission Home Sustainability Initiative is turning 5. More than 60 organizations have returned to the festival grounds for the anniversary, including nonprofits like Debris Free Oceans and Clean Miami Beach, who partnered with Ultra earlier this month to help organize their annual Making Waves shore cleanup.
By getting exposure on a global scale, it's amazing. It's something we'll never be able to do on our own. So Ultra bringing us on to help raise our voices and help us educate the community is just so impactful. Other music festivals can have similar commitments to sustainability. More than 150 volunteers of all ages gathered on March 8th on the Bayfront Park shoreline to clean up as much trash and debris as possible.
I found a sandal, a pretty big wooden stick, and then there was a pitcher between the rocks that I couldn't get. It was a plastic pitcher, and I spent like 5 minutes trying to get it, and I couldn't. It was really annoying.
We just need to do better on our parts, not just you, but me, but everyone, because we need to hold each other accountable. As they say, iron sharpens iron, and if you're not holding someone else accountable for their actions and their ignorance, then you're permitting that person to stay where they are, and you're not trying to help them better themselves and the environment.
It's really not that hard to just get your trash and throw it in a trash can. And there was so much styrofoam everywhere. Come on, guys. There's a trash can like 10 feet away. Go walk a few steps.
After just 1 hour of cleanup, volunteers picked up a grand total of 529 pounds.
It certainly puts things into perspective. I'd say if anything, it feels more like a challenge than anything else.
So how can Ultranauts practice sustainability at the festival?
Throughout the festival, they actually have water refill stations, so you can bring one container, like a Camelback bag, refill your water constantly, stay hydrated, and not rely on single-use.
Spread the knowledge, spread the word, and show others how they can also do the same thing. It's going to go a long way in the future if we continue to pursue that goal.
And that future can be beautiful. Now, aside from sustainability, Ultranauts are encouraged to put their safety first. On Tuesday, the University of Miami sent out an email to students with some safety tips recalling the tragic death of Adam Levine, a 21-year-old UM student who passed away at the festival in 2016. And these tips include keeping an eye out for emergency workers, staying in groups, and avoiding experimenting with substances. And speaking of substances, Ultranauts are not permitted to bring their own Narcan, which, if administered, can reverse an overdose. Instead, they can pick it up at the festival for free. So if you're going to any Miami Music Week events like Ultra, really anything else in this area, be sure to prioritize both safety and sustainability. And most importantly, have some fun. Reporting live at Bayfront Park, Amanda Mohammed, UMTV.
Thank you, Amanda. Students and activists have gathered tonight at the University of Miami to bring awareness to a cause that has touched many. Emmeline Smith is live at the Foot Green, where the event is in full swing. Emmeline, what is the event and the cause?
The event is called Relay for Life, and for the students here at the University of Miami, it is more than just a club. It's an organization of students passionate about raising awareness for cancer research and advocacy. And with the guidance of the American Cancer Society, the students were able to relay for a family member battling cancer, a survivor, or even a lost loved one. In preparation for the event, fundraising efforts included multiple bake sales and even a collaboration with Panera Bread. In addition, students were able to raise money through joining a team or a pre-existing team to battle to see who could raise the most amount of money.
Basically meant to bring cancer survivors, cancer patients, and people who've lost loved ones to cancer together to basically support one another, connect, and also raise money.
Prior to the event today, survivors and their caregivers were celebrated at the Survivor Luncheon, which took place at the Shalala Student Center. In addition, the survivors and their caregivers were celebrated at the Survivor Walk that took place just a few minutes ago here. Here at the Foot Green, there have been multiple performances, speeches, and even an intense game of musical chairs. And in just a few minutes at 8 o'clock, the evening will conclude with the Luminaria ceremony and an announcement of the final fundraising amount of money. For UMTV, I'm Emmeline Smith.
Thank you, Emmeline. This weekend, both of those events actually look really great. Sorry, Lauren, what are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, I'm actually attending Ultra. What are you doing this weekend?
I'm not doing anything, but I did hear it's going to rain.
Well, thankfully, student meteorologist Quinn Davidson is here to tell us more.
Quinn, what can we expect this weekend?
Well, you can expect anything from wind. We have some rain. We have lots of stuff in the forecast. Right now, those winds are pushing in from the east pretty strong. We have wind gusts 22 miles per hour here in Miami, in the 30s in the Keys. And that's just going to increase into the day tomorrow. We're going to see those wind gusts increasing into the almost 30 miles per hour here across all of South Florida, even higher in the Keys. I know you'll see, notice Key Largo is going to hit eventually. They're going to hit in the upper 30s. So it's going to be very windy outside, and that's going to be something of concern, especially if you are going to Ultra. I know a lot of people have lots of hair, intricate outfits and stuff, so that's something just to keep in mind. Our rain chances are also not zero. We have an upper level disturbance that is in Texas right now. It's actually causing a level 3 out of 4 flood risk for those in Corpus Christi. Very serious situation. As this moves into the Gulf, it's going to be eventually giving us a little appetizer to the main course on Sunday. We have some rain coming in due to a southeasterly flow. It's going to bring in just enough moisture to produce some showers and storms on Saturday, but Sunday is the big day. We're going to be seeing lots of widespread rain across the peninsula of Florida. So definitely something of concern, especially if you're heading to Ultra like Lauren. I know a lot of people bought tickets, and it's going to look like we're having 40% chance on Saturday of precipitation. Even higher on Sunday, we're seeing 60% chance. And eventually after that, we're seeing more of those everyday spring-like showers. We're heading into the wet season. Here's our Ultra forecast. Not the best. You have the wind and the rain on both Saturday and Sunday, so definitely something to keep in mind. I know it gets muddy and dirty with the rain, and maybe a poncho is possible. Our beach forecast sees 4 to 7 feet. We have a small craft advisory in all our coastal waters, including the Keys, and a rip current statement in effect for Miami. And that is why we have a high risk of rip current all across the East Coast beaches due to that aggressive onshore flow of those winds. So definitely if you are heading to the beach, not looking to be the most beach-like weekend, but definitely keep an eye on those flags and always swim by a lifeguard. Our 7-day forecast, if we look after this weekend, we'll be seeing temperatures in the mid-80s and lows in the mid to low 70s.
Thank you, Quinn. The University of Miami's LGBTQ organization called Spectrum has kicked off Pride Week by hosting its 12th annual drag out event last night. Students and professional drag artists lit up the stage celebrating self-expression and advocacy for the LGBTQ+ community. Drag out is more than just a show. It's a fundraiser for the Alliance for LGBTQ Youth in Miami-Dade County. For every performance, students and drag professionals strut the runway in different costumes and makeup looks.
The reason drag is so popular is the idea that when performers step onto stage, right, they become parts of their self they can't always show in everyday life. This is this moment for them to step on stage, be whoever they are, no matter how it's been in the past.
The show concluded with an announcement of the winners and one final performance led by student dancers. The next Pride event will be hosted by LGBTQ Canes as they head over to Miami Beach Pride Festival on April 6th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Time for another break now, but when we return, we'll show you how Canes baseball fared against their biggest rivals. Plus, a look at one way soccer is making waves in Miami. Stay with us. Welcome to sports. I'm John Stanley. The Miami Hurricanes baseball season is in full swing, and they took on hated rivals Florida State in baseball this weekend. Let's take a look at their Friday night performance. Griffin Hughes gets the start on the mound for Miami, and he had a great outing. He went for 5 total innings, 5 strikeouts, and just 2 earned runs. He kept Miami in the game when it was close, and he did what he needed to, striking out with runners on base. Offensively for the Canes, in the second inning, it was Derek Williams. See you later. He hits a no-doubter off the scoreboard to tie things up, Williams' 4th home run of the year. And from there on out, it was the Bobby Marsh show. He's going to take that outside fastball down the left field line to increase the lead. Just snuck that one fair. And then in the 5th, Marsh again. He'll poke that one to right, and that's going to bring in 2 more runs. And he's got the boys fired up in the dugout, hitting a little Macarena. But he's not done just yet. Marsh, again this time, a moonshot over the right field wall. Have yourself a day, Bobby Marsh. Do it yourself. He finished 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs, almost hit for a cycle, and the Canes take this one 9-6. However, they would lose the series 2-1. It's time to play ball. Baseball fans everywhere are rejoicing as the MLB season has officially begun. After 148 days, players finally took the field this afternoon for opening day. 28 of the 30 teams are in action today, as the New York Yankees and the Milwaukee Brewers had honors of starting things off at Yankee Stadium at 3 o'clock. Big-name stars made big-time debuts, like Juan Soto, who took the field for the New York Mets for the very first time, as they took on the Houston Astros at 4 p.m. And just moments ago, reigning champions Los Angeles Dodgers raised their World Series banner and began their new season, as they take on the Detroit Tigers. The first 2 rounds of March Madness are all wrapped up, and millions of basketball fans share one thing in common. Their brackets are busted. Around 34 million people filled out brackets for the NCAA tournament on various platforms before the tournament tipped off. And before the Sweet 16 begins tonight, there are 0 brackets that have entirely correct picks. The tournament is known for featuring a ton of big upsets and underdog stories, but this year the tournament has been lacking a little madness. Despite 0 perfect brackets remaining, there has not been a ton of upsets, and there's only 1 double-digit seed that remains. The round of 32 did feature a wild finish as Derek Queen's fadeaway jumper at the buzzer pushed Maryland past Colorado State to stay alive. Soccer is on the rise in South Florida with the arrival of Lionel Messi and the formation of Inter Miami FC. But as Taryn Jacobs shows us, Messi's not the only player making waves in the Florida soccer landscape.
Every morning, 7 days a week, you can find the women of Fort Lauderdale United FC putting in the work to get better.
Soccer's the biggest sport in the world, so it was great that we got a professional men's team here, and obviously us now with a professional women's team. So
Fort Lauderdale United FC is the first women's professional soccer team in South Florida. The team has enjoyed success both on the field and in the stands, thanks in part to rising star Taylor Smith. Taylor is just 17 years old and signed her first professional contract in January.
It was great. I mean, I feel like being so young still, like it was like all my dreams were coming true already.
Even though Taylor is the youngest on the team, the older girls have welcomed her with open arms.
They're just been big sisters, honestly.
Midfielder Addie McCain has been playing professionally for 3 years, and she's trying to pass along as much knowledge to Taylor as she can.
I feel like I've gone through similar experiences as them, so I think being relatable in that way and explaining just kind of what I've experienced, and hopefully that helps.
Now, they're looking to get the ball rolling on a whole new wave of soccer stars.
It's just empowering, honestly, like knowing that like I was their age at one point and that I've gotten so far at such a young age that like it's completely possible for anybody as long as you put the work in.
For UMTV, I'm Taryn Jacobs.
On Monday, 20 former Canes athletes showed out for all 32 NFL scouts at the University of Miami Pro Day. Of those 20 Canes, there are a few notable standouts. Those names include Jacoby George, Andy Borregales, Xavier Restrepo, and Cam Ward. And after Cam Ward's performance at Pro Day, he's projected to be selected #1 overall by the Tennessee Titans. The NFL draft is in less than a month, and we'll see where all the former Canes end up. Guys, I'm really excited to see Cam Ward. I think he's going to go first overall. I think he's going to kill it in the NFL.
Oh, he'll definitely do great.
Yeah, that's going to be great for our school.
Well, that's all the time that we have for this week's edition of NewsVision.
Join us again next week at the same time. Have a good night.